Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera. I'm Zainah Hajar binti Zainal. I will present about the image evaluation for the food AP. To evaluate the image radiograph, I'll be using the placement method, that is projection, alignment, collimation, exposure, marker, aesthetic, and name. So in my presentation, I will explain about the radiograph by using this method. As a radiographer, we need to know anatomy to help us to identify the radiograph properly. So this is the anatomy of AP food that we must to be included in radiograph. So first criteria is projection. For projection, AP food, we need to include the entire food. So that is phalanges, metatarsus, navicular, cuneiforms, and cuboid must be included in radiograph. Other than that, the joint space between medial and intermediate cuneiforms need to open. Then the proximal calcaneus, thala neck, and surrounding foot soft tissue need to include. Next, we will move to correct positioning of this radiograph. So this radiograph positioning is correct. Why? Because the joint space between medial and intermediate cuneiform is open. Then, from this radiograph, we know that approximately 2 cm of calcaneus is visualized without superimposed with thala. Okay, from this radiograph, I already marked by the red circle, so you can see that are the superimposition of second to fifth metatarsal base. And from this radiograph, you can see that the navicular cuneiform joint space are open. Second criteria of image evaluation is alignment. So from this radiograph, you can see there is no evidence of border collimation. So that means the alignment between Xray tube, film, and the patient cannot be determined. From this radiograph, you can see that CR of this radiograph is at the base of third metatarsal. Second criteria is collimation. So, what structure should be included in collimation? So, in this radiograph, the structure that should be included are all the soft tissue surrounding the foot, first and fifth phalanges, first and fifth metatarsus, MTP joint, and also IP joint. In collimation criteria, have a radiation protection. So from this radiograph, you can see there is no evidence of radiation protection apparatus being used. The fourth criteria is exposure. How we evaluate the exposure factor? First, contrast. Second, density. We use KVP to evaluate the penetration and contrast. From this radiograph, the KVP is sufficient for penetration and contrast. Why? We can see the thin structure that is body cortical outline of the distal phalanges And also the thick structure, body cortical outline of navicular or cuboid clearly seen. For second, for density part, we use MAS. The MAS is sufficient. That is, we can see body trabecular pattern of distal phalanges and body trabecular pattern of navicular cuboid are clearly seen. Okay, for the fifth criteria is marker. That means anatomy marker that we use in radiograph. From this radiograph, we can see clearly there is anatomy marker inside the radiograph. Then, from this radiograph, we can see that marker is placed correctly on the left side and not superimposed with any region of interest. Next, number 6 criteria is aesthetic. From this aesthetic is referred to film size and also artifact. Okay. From this radiograph, we use the film size 24 x 30 and also 10 x 12 inches. That is sufficient to include all the region of interest. And from this radiograph, we can see there is no evidence of artifact. Next is last criteria, that is criteria number 7 is name. And for name like ID information. So from this radiograph, I already blur patient information because patient privacy. But I already marked XXX as patient ID. So from this radiograph, the identification of patient are clearly visualized and not superimposed with region of interest. So, for the conclusion, is the radiograph is acceptable? Yes, this radiograph is acceptable. Why? Because there is no rotation, no cut at region of interest, and also no evidence of artifact. So, other than that, the exposure factor that we use is sufficient. So, for the conclusion, this radiograph is acceptable for me. Okay, for this presentation, I use referral from this list. That is Boranger, McQuillan, and also Haji Nazri books. So thank you so much for your time and hope you enjoy my presentation today. Thank you. Okay, that's all. Thank you so much to listening my presentation today. Thank you.